we're going to Todmorden as the crow flies to meet a group of splendid citizens who do a lot of work around my Calderdale, and they don't mind getting their hands dirty. I'm here on the moors above Todmorden on the western end of the Calder Valley to talk to a man who is the Birdman of Mytholmroyd. He didn't escape from Alcatraz, but he does know about hard labour and he knows everything about crows. We're here to meet Richard Peters, who is the leading light in an organisation called CROWS Crows. So let's go and meet him. Well, Rich, it's really good to see you. Can we begin by you telling me exactly what Crows does in and around Calderdale?
Well, we're a bunch of volunteers and we work in the western end of Calderdale. We work in the upper Calder Valley and we work over in the Ryburn Valley. And basically we fix footpaths and bridleways. And that means cutting back vegetation, trees, brambles. We do drainage when streams decided to escape. We do a lot of mud. We do way marking to make sure that people don't get lost, which they frequently do. And we also repair and build stiles, gates, that kind of stuff. And the only other thing we do is there's a lot of steep slopes in the upper valley, and if they're used a lot they get very, very slippery, so we sometimes build steps in. So basically that's where we work, and there are a huge number of paths in this area.
So where did the original idea come from, and how do you enlist your people?
Well, the original idea, a small group of us actually worked for Calderdale Countryside Service that's part of the local authority, and we discovered that there was so much work to do, but the local authority just didn't have the resources to do it. And we talked to one of their senior managers and they said, well, why don't you set yourself up as an independent organisation so that you can do more work? So basically that's where it came from, was a bunch of us that work for the council, as volunteers, that is.
So how did this acronym of Crows come about?
Well, yes, I do remember that. A large piece of paper, and we thought, right, okay, what are all the words that we can think of that relate to our work? And the first three are easy because it's rights of way, ROW. So we just knew that that was going to be part of it. And then somebody said that, well, there's more than one of us, so therefore we're not one crow, we're many crows, so there's got to be an S. And somebody said, well, why not services? And then the final one, the C, was going to be Calderdale, but we felt community was better because we're all volunteers, and therefore community, indicates that, and also people won't think we're part of the council.
And once the idea took off, what skills were you looking for with people to join the team?
Well, that's the joy of it, is that we had all the skills. We had people, I can think of Dick and Bernard, who've been doing this work for 15 years. So all those skills to do the work, they were all there. And we were very lucky. We had two people that had worked in the voluntary sector. So they had the skills to write a constitution, set up bank account, doing all the things you have to do to run an organisation. So,
well, Rich, give me a few examples of some of the jobs you've done already.
Wow, that's a difficult question. I think one of the types of jobs we do, which we just love, is more like archaeology. You can be working on a path, nondescript path, and you suddenly discovered that there are causey stones, the big old pack-horse stones, or a set of old stone steps. And then by the time you finish, there is this fantastic path or a fantastic set of steps, and we all love doing those. We don't do enough of them, but anyway. The other one, I think, is there are some jobs that are a major challenge, and we like to have quite a can-do approach. If somebody says to us, it's not possible, then we'll have a go at it. And there's one route comes to mind, which is across Errington Moor, near Bellhouse Moor, people sometimes call it. And that was a route that was well, you would be up to your waist in the winter with mud, and yet it was quite an important route. And so somebody said, well, what about it? And anyway, long story, but we put 12 boardwalks in of these things that we're working on now. And to do that, we had to get runners and walkers to carry 400 bits of timber over the moors. And they did it in 3 hours, and that's what made it possible. So that was another example of, it was really, really good. The Upper Calder Valley is a very, very wet area, and we have a lot of very wet uplands. And so a lot of the work we do is connected with drainage, and sometimes it will be streams suddenly deciding to go in a different direction. It can just be a bowl that's full of mulch. And so we have a small drainage team led by Bernard and Ginny, who just love getting muddy and wet. And so if there's any work to do, anything to do with that, then those are the ones that will come out.
So how do you finance each project where materials are required in addition to hard labour?
Well, we are extraordinarily lucky. We have a lot of very, very generous people, individuals in the area. And they provide a third of our income, which is just fantastic. And on top of that, we have we developed good relationships with town and parish councils, and they form a bedrock of funding. And then the third layer, if you like, is where if we've got a big project that we'll either apply to grants for trusts, or we actually do some work for Calderdale Highways because they are the authority that controls all the rights of way.
Well, that's fascinating, Rich. So where do you see the organisation going from here?
Well, it's quite an exciting time actually, because we've recently moved premises from a basement in Mytholmroyd, where we frequently got flooded up to 6 foot. So we're hoping the new premises will be a great improvement. So finally, to have really, really good premises, we're going to spend some time and energy on that. So that will be great. But I think the second thing is that we've been in existence since 2013, and we have doubled in size. We've got something like 10 women and 15 blokes. That's an awful lot of coordination required. And so we're no longer a small organisation. So basically we have to stop and take stock and maybe rework how we're going to organise ourselves in the future. We don't quite know what that means yet, but we hope. We want to be sustainable. We want to be around in another 10 years. So that's one of the major things we're going to be doing.
Well, the best of luck in all that. That's an exciting time. Rich, just one final question.
Yes.
This is something we're asking everyone.
Yeah.
What is the last thing you do before you get into bed at night?
Well, if it's been a crow's work party day, I often sit on the edge of the bed where I'm still slightly stiff and aching, and I think, how long am I going to be able to do this work? And because it's quite tough work, but we just love it. We just think it's fantastic.
What a great answer. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, as a complete surprise to crows, I'm a trustee of the Bearded Charity, and we've agreed to give a donation of £1,060 to crows for the refurbishment of their new premises. So I'd like to present this cheque to Mick Chatham on behalf of the Bearded Charity, and I hope that it comes to good use, Mick.
Thank you much indeed. Thank you. On behalf of the Crows crowd, we'd like to say thanks very much, and it will go towards the refurbishment of the new premises we've just taken over at Mytholmroyd.